A good late afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Sage. You're watching 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐿 TV live from Sydney, and this is the last show of the day, the last trade. And there's no better way to wind down the day than with today's market close commentary. And in today's show, we'll look at the overall ASX 200's performance of the day and also explore the gainers and the losers. And this will be followed by the shares that grabbed the limelight today, such as Afterpay, News Corp, Premier Investments, Telix, Pharmaceutical, and many more. Then I'll share the trending updates from the Asian markets in the last segment, along with a special report on cryptocurrencies. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive straight in. And today the Australian stock market was buoyed by gains on Wall Street after the Federal Reserve signalled it may begin easing its extraordinary support measures for the economy later this year. It was green across the board at the market open, and the Australian stock market was up more than 1% at noon. And finally, the ASX 200 ended up today, gaining 1.18%. The index has lost 1.04% for the last 5 days, but sits 3.27% below its 52-week high. And all 11 sectors traded higher today, along with the ASX 200's index. IT was the best performing sector, gaining 3.24% and 3.50% for the past 5 days. On the new listings side, Revolver Resources, an Australian exploration company focused on the development of copper for the world's accelerating electrification, listed on the exchange today following a successful initial public offer that raised over 12 million Australian dollars. And West Australian-based gold exploration company Iris Metals was also launched on the ASX after the completion of a 7 million Australian dollar IPO. Now, besides that, iron hot remained a hot topic of discussion. Its roller coaster ride in 2021 seems to be showing no signs of easing, with prices of iron ore ending an unprecedented slump to move sharply higher as investors monitor the simmering debt troubles at China Evergrande Group. And the steelmaking materials prices have soared over 16%, surging back above $100 a tonne from their lowest close in over 1 year, certainly making iron ore hot. Events around Evergrande have already startled the market earlier this week, and experts opine that the iron ore demand squeeze could continue as China's now mature steel sector faces further caps on production. Coming back to the ASX performance, let's look at the top gainers and the losers of the day. And the top performer on the ASX pack was media titan News Corp, and that has doubled its share repurchase program to $1 billion. Shares surged over 8%. It was followed by corporate travel management, which was up 6.6%. E-commerce company Kogan.com was in the third position of gainers, with its shares up as well, 6.19%. And the last two positions were bagged by companies from the energy sector, Whitehaven Coal and AGL Energy. On the flip side, we had Reliance Worldwide Corporation topping the losers chart by falling over 2%. And some of the other top laggards were from the materials sector, Ramelius Resources, Northern Star Resource and Evolution Mining. Transurban Group shares also plummeted by 1.27%. Now let's shift our lens to the stocks that grabbed the investors' attention today. And first up, we have shares in News Corp, jumping 7.4% midday today after the media giant doubled its share repurchase program to $1 billion. And the board had approved the new buyback program, making an increase from the $500 million Australian dollar program unveiled back in 2013. And the share repurchases took the News Corp stock to the highest level in a month and within 10% of its record high, which was posted at the start of August. Another impressive leap today was made by the buy now pay later titan Afterpay. And the company saw its best day since the week its acquisition by Square was announced. At market close, Afterpay quoted 132 Australian dollars, up by nearly 5% from the previous closing. And next we have the operator of a range of specialty retail fashion chains, Premier Investments, who announced record results for the financial year 2021, and that took its stock up by over 3%. The company reported a statutory consolidated net profit after tax of 271.8 million Australian dollars for the financial year 21. And Premier remains optimistic about the all-important second quarter of financial year 2022 as the vaccine rollout progresses and the economy reopens. And dairy co-op Fonterra's Australian shares traded up by over 5% after the business revealed its full-year financial results and confirmed that it was considering spinning out its Australian operations, potentially as part of an IPO. The company believes that by having access to ongoing external capital, the Australian business will be best placed to deliver on its strategy and capture its full potential. On the flip side, cancer imaging and treatments maker Telix Pharmaceuticals saw its shares plummet as low as 13% today, and the company indicated that the Food and Drug Administration has pushed a decision on approvals for its flagship project or product back 3 months, and the discussion is on 𝐊𝐿𝐴6, Telix's prostate cancer imaging product. And now let's take a small break, but stay tuned with me. I'll be back with more of the trending updates. Hi, I'm Sage, and get ready to take the crypto ride with me on 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐿 TV. Watch the Crypto Buzz every Tuesday and join the excitement at 𝐊𝐿𝐴 TV. From Bitcoins to NFTs to Dogecoin and DeFi, we have updates about everything around these digital currencies. Understand the investing rationale and the risks involved in the space with me, Sage, on Crypto Buzz. Keep watching 𝐊𝐿𝐴 TV. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us. Sage here with the Market Close commentary by 𝐊𝐴 TV. Let us now take a look at more of those stocks grabbing the investors' attention today. And Australia's biggest brick-making and masonry group, Brickworks, released its financial year 21 results, delivering a record underlying NPAT of 285 million Australian dollars. The company also announced a final dividend of 40 cents per share, continuing a 45-year record of maintaining or increasing dividends. Building a positive momentum on the ASX, shares surged by over 2%. Let's move on to the next. Shares of leading toll road operator Transurban plunged by almost 2% after the staple securities resumed trading on the ASX today. The company has successfully completed the institutional entitlement offer of its 3.97 billion Australian dollar fully underwritten accelerated pro rata renounceable 1-for-9 entitlements offer. And last but not least, Northern Star Resources continued its trajectory in the red zone today. And yesterday, the global scale Australian gold producer notified that Raleigh Finlayson has resigned as an executive director of the company. However, he will rejoin the board as a non-executive director in April 2022. And now let's move on to the next segment, where we take a look east towards the Asian and global market performance. Now, shares in the broader Asian markets have advanced, supported by assurance of not making default on debt payments by embattled China Evergrande Group, though default risks still remained for the property giant. And South Korean shares fell on Thursday as investors digested the US Federal Reserve's signals to taper the bond purchases by the end of this year. Indian shares edged up in the early trade on Thursday, near record highs, led by the metal and banking stocks. Investors overlooked signs of a slightly hawkish tilt by the US Federal Reserve overnight. And now let's move on. The Shanghai Composite gained 1.14%, while the Nikkei 225 led the Hang Seng lower. They fell 2.07% and 0.27% respectively. The benchmark S&P 500 had jumped earlier for the first time in 5 trading sessions, and the US stocks finished higher on Wednesday after the Federal Reserve signalled to taper its stimulus soon, while an ease in concerns around Evergrande also lifted the sentiment. The Dow Jones and the Nasdaq Composite jumped 1% each, while the S&P 500 rose as well, 0.95%. The yield on the 10-year Treasury notes wound up little changed at 1.30%. Market sentiments are likely to continue their sinusoidal trends, and in a statement issued earlier today, the Fed said that it may start raising its benchmark interest rate sometime next year. earlier than it envisioned 3 months ago. And let's continue on with this last segment where we take a look over the crypto market's performance. Bitcoin has returned above the US $42,000 mark as the broader crypto market bounces back after a sell-off earlier this week, and traders are expecting volatility to remain elevated ahead of Bitcoin's September options expiry tomorrow. Major crypto options exchanges are due to settle billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin option contracts tomorrow. And meanwhile, the market for non-fungible tokens continues to heat up with a growing presence of long-term holders. Now, if Bitcoin breaks above the US $50,000 level, traders who sold calls expecting a bearish move or consolidation may consider hedging. And that is buying the cryptocurrency in the spot or futures market to lessen losses arising from the short call position. That could put upward pressure on the cryptocurrency, quickening gains. And interestingly, the US Federal Reserve has hinted that it could start to scale back or taper its monthly asset purchases sooner rather than later. And the central bank's pandemic stimulus programs can be reversed in November. Fed officials also anticipate a rise in interest rates by the end of next year. And now here's some food for thought. Tighter monetary policy could be a headwind for assets deemed to be risky, such as equities and cryptocurrencies. And thanks for your company on that report, folks. But that's a wrap. Hope you found the market commentary informative, and we'll be back tomorrow live from Sydney at 9:30 in the morning with our first report on the pre-market scenario. Take care, stay safe till then. Sage signing off.